the main bridge that connects Charleston to the River Road, which is a Bailey Bridge, which was constructed a few years ago after that particular bridge had collapsed under the weight of a logging truck several years back. So the Salters Bridge is probably, I wouldn't want to take a quick guess on just how far from the Bailey Bridge that Salters Bridge is, but it isn't a great distance. And that bridge has been under tremendous strain over the last several years, especially with the flooding conditions that have been happening along the Medway. And as I had indicated earlier, along the River Road there we see a lot of heavy traffic, not only with school buses, but also with the many logging trucks that travel through there. The residents are becoming increasingly concerned about the safety of that Salters Bridge. Now, in recent correspondence with some of your department staff, it was indicated that there was a recent inspection done to that bridge, and the inspection shows that yes, indeed, there are some repairs that are necessary, and if I remember correctly, some of those repairs would be replacing some of the side railing, but I'm not sure if there was any indication that there would be any repairs to the underneath of the bridge. And what some of the residents are telling me is that the inspection needs to really be all-inclusive as to looking underneath the bridge, because some of the local residents that fish around that bridge have had opportunity to kind of go underneath and have a look up under the slats, and they have seen a lot of deterioration over the last several years. Now, the importance of this bridge to this particular community in terms of a safety issue, and I know the department is investing monies into our bridges across the province, and there is that inspection process underway. But this particular bridge, should we see any amount of flooding in this area, should this bridge go out because of flooding or because another a logging truck goes through a particular section of this bridge, it will actually cut off residents traveling from the River Road into Charleston. And I go back to that flooding situation. And in 2005, our last flood, there was actually a pocket of residents that were stranded in that area. They couldn't go further up the River Road towards Bangs Falls and Greenfield to get out of the community because the waters had risen to the point where it actually had sealed them off in one direction. And that Salters Bridge was pretty much underwater in some parts of that bridge. So those residents actually were trapped there for several days. So they have a major concern not only about the flooding conditions, but if the bridge is out for whatever reason, should a truck be too heavy and take out some of the main planks or further deteriorated, they're feeling that they are going to be stranded should this bridge not be repaired in a way that they're feeling really safe. In my most recent letter to the department, what I have asked is if we could see the inspection report that the department has actually carried through, that it may give some it may lend some weight and go a great distance to the residents in ensuring them that a full inspection has been done. And I know there's a set of criteria that the department uses. And if we could understand what that criteria was, then perhaps the residents would be able to say, well, based on this criteria and the inspection that has taken place, this bridge meets all of that, and so we feel now safe that with the repairs that the department has indicated will be okay until such a time that the bridge will either be replaced or further repairs down the road will be carried out. So would that be possible to get that information forthcoming around that particular inspection for that bridge?
Thank you. The Honourable Minister of Transportation and Public Works.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. And We certainly can ensure that a thorough inspection of the bridge does occur, and we will make the results of that known to the honourable member.
Thank you. The honourable member for Queens.
Thank you so much, and my time is up, and I'm going to pass the time remaining to my colleague from Dartmouth East. Thank you.
Thank you. The chair now recognizes the honourable member for Dartmouth East.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a huge pile of documentation here, and I know I'm not going to get through even a small percentage of it. But I would like to, most of my questions will be directed around crosswalk safety issues and the Auditor General's report from 2004. And I guess, here we are again at the same place we were last year. And I'd like to start off with a question around red lights. And last year, Minister told us that basically with respect to the red lights as opposed to amber lights, it is something that is being examined, and we would want to come to a conclusion on that very quickly. And that was said back in July the 11th in 2006. So since that time, we have had some very sad incidents happen at our crosswalks. And I would like to know if you have made a decision in regards to using red lights, which means stop as opposed to the other lights, that don't necessarily mean stop, but proceed with caution. So if you can just give me an answer on that, it'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you. The Minister of Transportation and Public Works.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. And I can tell the honourable member that first of all, the standard that's used across the country and in most of North America is the amber lights with respect to crosswalk safety. The difficulties that are associated with the use of red lights is what a red light means. And the red light means that you come to a stop and you remain stopped until such time as the light changes. Now, the signal at a crosswalk is designed to remain flashing long enough that even the slowest moving among the population would have an opportunity to get all the way across the crosswalk, before the light would stop flashing. And that's to allow for the varying capacities, physical capacities that exist with people using the crosswalk. So when the amber light is flashing, the driver knows that they need to look and examine the crosswalk to ensure that there isn't someone in that crosswalk, that they do not have to yield to the individual in the crosswalk. After making that examination, then of course they can proceed through the crosswalk. The difficulty with the red light is that it requires all drivers to come to a complete stop before proceeding through the crosswalk. And the honourable member can appreciate that there are a great number of crosswalks, especially in urban areas, and what is required is for drivers to note that there is a flashing light, regardless of what the color is, and to use their precautions when approaching the crosswalk to ensure that they have examined to see whether anybody is using the crosswalk and then proceed. So that is the principal difficulty associated with the use of red lights. I would also like to say that there are, I believe, some refinements that we can make with respect to the visibility of crosswalk lights. And it's the overhead flashing amber light sometimes is difficult for drivers to see. It can be difficult for a driver to see if they're behind a large vehicle in front of them that would block out their line of sight to the flashing amber light. It's difficult to see if they're in a vehicle that doesn't allow them the height or the visibility in terms of being able to look up high enough to see those lights. So I believe that there is room for us to expand the flashing signal so that it is there is a portion of that flashing signal more in line with the sight of the drivers, and that is certainly something that we will want to be looking at. My message, of course, with crosswalk safety is that regardless of design, regardless of the color of the lights, regardless of anything else, when you come to a crosswalk, there are responsibilities. There are responsibilities on the part of the driver to ensure that there isn't somebody in the crosswalk. It's the responsibility of the driver to be looking for crosswalks. It is the responsibility of the person using the crosswalk to ensure that they have the attention of the driver, that that person, before entering onto the crosswalk, has, my rule of thumb is, you should make eye contact with the driver. Satisfy yourself that the driver sees you before you enter the crosswalk. And I had an experience not long ago of a jogger who approached a crosswalk, came down the hill toward the crosswalk so rapidly that even though I had checked all the way around, the person was right in front of me. Well, that pedestrian did not take the time to check and see whether the crosswalk was clear or to make contact with me. There was no, we didn't come close to any kind of contact or anything else, but it certainly scared me, with the speed with which that person entered the crosswalk and the very little bit of warning that I had to be able to respond. So there is no substitute for this awareness, and that's one of the things that we have to address, is to continue to make people aware of the need to exercise caution when it comes to the use of crosswalks.
Thank you. The honourable member for Dartmouth East.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Chair. Well, I do have to just sort of rebut one of the things that was said when I think you mentioned that the way it's set up now with the amber lights, there's ample time for even the slowest moving of us to get across the street. And I think I'm pretty fast moving when I'm crossing the streets. And I've managed to not make it across certain times in Dartmouth East at some of the crosswalk sections we have. So I think there is an issue, and even for seniors and people maybe with disabilities, they do find it hard sometimes to get across. And I'm not sure if people are looking for even the red lights at all crosswalks, but there have been requests for them at certain places where there's a certain traffic flow or what have you, or maybe, you can look at the amount of traffic flowing there and how disruptive it would be. I guess I know you're weighing one thing against the other, but I actually was talking to a constituent earlier this evening about crosswalk safety, and this constituent, in fact, doesn't live in my riding anymore, but he's very concerned about what, he knows has happened recently. And one of the things he was saying, can you ask the minister, are we looking at innovative things? What kind of innovative things are we looking at? And one of the things he mentioned was maybe shorter posts, which you're talking about visibility, the level of visibility, the height issue, and maybe a post closer to when you're getting to the crosswalk, but just at sort of eye level. So when you're in a car, you can see that. So I just wanted to make sure that I put his, but he's very concerned, and we've all, I know probably most of us have had near misses, driving on the streets, and we all get more distracted as we have more toys to play with in the car, and one of them is a cell phone. When the Road Safety Advisory Committee made their recommendations, The required legislation changes were never made, but they did have draft legislation, I believe, and it included requirements for the ignition interlock device, which we've now gone forward with, and one of the other things was drivers to pay sole attention to the operation of a motor vehicle. And to me, you could read into that. That means no cell phones when you're in a car. And I know our honourable member, prior member Jerry Pye from Dartmouth North, I believe, tabled a bill in here on numerous occasions which would ban the use of cell phones in cars. And maybe it's time we looked at that again, because in fact, the gentleman I was talking to this evening said he saw a near-miss accident recently, and he actually followed the person in the car, and when the person pulled over, because this person was talking on a cell phone, and almost hit somebody, and when the person pulled over, he went up to him and said, "Do you realize you almost ran somebody over because you were talking on a cell phone?" So one of the things that was in that draft legislation, I believe, was that. And one of the other things was that warning signs when you're a new operator or learning to drive, which we've now seen the government moving on. It's very unfortunate, though, that report was in the Auditor General's report, and the draft legislation was prior to that. So we're talking prior 2004 that those recommendations were made, and that draft legislation was actually drawn up, and we never saw movement on that until, after we've seen some very, very sad occurrences here in this province. So I think we need to really maybe come up with some innovative new ways of dealing with pedestrian safety issues. And I'm not saying we need to do one thing right across the whole province, but maybe we could try some different things in different areas and, watch and see how that works. The Road Safety Advisory Committee actually had subcommittees under it also, I believe. And I know there's many things in that Auditor General's report. I mean, it's a great document, and I hope you've had time to go over that and really look into what's in there. But they made a lot of comments on the lack of reporting that the committee did, the lack of minutes that were kept, the lack of minutes that were kept when the deputy ministers and ministers met with those committees. Some meetings had no minutes at all. There's been recommendations made that they should be reporting to the House of Assembly on road safety issues. And indeed, in fact, there's no comprehensive comparative reporting done in the province on that. So it's very disconcerting when you read that Auditor General's report. And I know I've had, some time in here, which is 5 minutes, during question period to ask you questions in regards to the Auditor General's report. And it's just not enough time to get out all the things you want to ask. So, I'll apologize to my constituents for not being able to get out every question that I want to ask. And I have like 2 minutes left now. So I guess I'm a little bit concerned in that now, it's not a bad thing for the mayor and the minister to strike a joint committee, but this work, I think, has been done. It's been done by the Road Safety Advisory Committee. It's been done by the vision, the road safety vision that was done. I think a lot of the work has been done, but we've just neglected to move on it. And now we're just saying, well, now we've got a joint committee and we're going to look at these things all over again. And in the meantime, people are going to be hurt in our crosswalks. So, I don't really have. I guess the question is, and it's a philosophical one: how can the public rely on your department to take care of our pedestrians and the people in our cars that are, when the information that's coming through and the data that's coming through and the reporting that's coming through is done poorly, and that we haven't followed through on recommendations that the Auditor General made in 2004. So I just want, maybe to hear your views on maybe what I've said in the last few minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honourable, the Minister of Transportation and Public Works.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. And the Honourable Member referenced the work of the Road Safety Advisory Committee and the Auditor General's report. And I'm quite pleased to let the Honourable Member know that we have provided support personnel to the RSAC group so that There, in fact, is a written record kept of their meetings and the recommendations that come forward from their meetings. I would also welcome the opportunity to let the honourable member know that it is the intention of the mayor and myself to underline the need for all involved with respect to the issue of crosswalk safety, the need to do precisely what the honourable member is saying, is to come forward with action plans where it is appropriate and where people have made the recommendations, and that we're not here this time next year talking about the same things over again. And we do have, with municipal units, they have their local traffic authority, and the local traffic authority has certain responsibilities, and we need to ensure that those traffic authorities are able to have the tools they need to be able to do the job that they have to do. So that puts a responsibility on us when it comes to any legislative or policy direction that would apply province-wide. So my discussions with the mayor, we felt that it was appropriate for us to underline to officials at both levels of government that we are serious about addressing the issue of crosswalk safety, and that was the purpose in us bringing together a group. And it's not to recreate the wheel in any way, but it is to ensure that we're taking a course of action that is going to address or make improvements where we have the capacity to make improvements. And you know, one of the great challenges that we have around the issue of crosswalk safety is the challenge associated with the size of many of the vehicles that are on the road. And one of the things that is a real challenge is the location of crosswalks in conjunction with the location of bus stops. Because when a bus stop is stopped at the side of the road and a driver is in another lane coming along, that driver's vision of the crosswalk is completely blocked. And it's very difficult for that driver to be as aware as they should that they're approaching a crosswalk because of this obstruction. So there is work to do with respect to getting around issues of that nature. The same is true, the size of the vehicles that are on the road now and parking spaces that lead up to crosswalks. How many vehicles is it safe to put on the side of the road leading up to a crosswalk in terms of visibility, in terms of drivers being able to be aware, and also of pedestrians being able to understand that when they are walking out in front of a large vehicle, that in fact a vehicle approaching on the other lane doesn't see that person coming from the crosswalk. How do we get around that particular situation? That's but that's a very real problem, and it's our capacity to be able to address that gets into all sorts of challenges. So in the final analysis, we can make improvements, and I've received many very good suggestions from a number of Nova Scotians by way of email and by way of mail, by way of telephone calls, and some of those can be implemented, some may not be able to be implemented. But in the final analysis, we put forward every good, positive suggestion that we have. We still come down to the issue of driver and pedestrian having to a shared responsibility with respect to crosswalks, and that requires an awareness program, and that's one of the things that I want to see addressed is a greater effort to make people aware of the need to exercise safety when it comes to comes to the use of their vehicles and people using crosswalks to be much more aware of the fact that people driving vehicles may have their vision blocked as far as the approach to the crosswalk is concerned, and they shouldn't assume safety simply because they're in a crosswalk. You know.
Thank you. The honourable member for Dartmouth East.
To the Minister for his answers, and I'm turning my time over to my honourable colleague from Halifax Civil.
Thank you.
Oh, yep.
Chair will now recognize the honourable member for Halifax Civil.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just have a few short questions, and I welcome the opportunity to speak to the Minister again about some issues related specifically to my constituency of Halifax Citadel. And I'd like to begin by thanking the Minister for responding to an issue that has festered for quite a while in my constituency, and that was the question of the parking tickets and being in the wrong place. And eventually, we hope to see within the next day or so that this issue will be corrected. But I wanted to thank the Minister for following up on our various conversations and for actually acting on that request. I do have another issue that I would like to raise again with the Minister, and that relates to the Mary Black Gallery, the former Mary Black Gallery space. As the Minister knows, the Mary Black Gallery has left Barrington Street and moved to the harbour, and the Downtown Halifax Business Commission and a number of heritage groups as well are concerned that the department is going to occupy that space as a government office, and it'll take away from the character of the street, and that they would very much like that to remain retail space that would respect the long-term plans of the Business Commission to establish Barrington Street as a heritage district. And I'm wondering if the Minister has any further thoughts on his department's plans for the space formerly occupied by the Mary Black Gallery.
Thank you. The Honourable Minister of Transportation and Public Works.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. The honourable member and I have had discussions about the space in question. It is the space on the Barrington Street level of the Johnston building, which is owned by the province of Nova Scotia. That building currently houses the Department of Transportation and Public Works, or I should say a portion of that department is housed in that facility. And that's one of the challenges that we have as a department, is some of the key personnel that should be in that building to allow us to function in a more cohesive manner are currently not in the building, and we have a need for the space to be able to function as a department. I also want to, and I'm not unappreciative of the Commission's desires with respect to Barrington Street, but I am also very much aware of the needs that we have as a department. I'm also mindful of the fact that Halifax is the capital city of the province of Nova Scotia, and as such, it has some responsibility with respect to the operation of government within the capital city to serve the needs of all citizens of the province. And part of that responsibility is for there to be space to house government employees in the capital. And it is a building that is owned by the people of the province of Nova Scotia. And it is a building that houses the Department of Transportation and Public Works, which serves the needs of all of the people of the province of Nova Scotia. And it's important that that department be able to function appropriately. And we need the space to be able to function, to bring people within the department so that we can do a better job of serving the needs of the people of the province of Nova Scotia. The other point I want to make with the honourable member is that currently, if you traverse Barrington Street, you will find that there are a number of vacant commercial properties on Barrington Street. Now, in properties that are privately owned. And it begs the question as to what role does government have of becoming a landlord and setting itself up in competition with private enterprise who own property on Barrington Street that is currently vacant. And that is something that I believe is not philosophically in line with the views of this government with respect to how we would want to operate. As I said at the outset, I'm not unsympathetic to the desires of the Commission, but on the other hand, as a capital city, Halifax does have a responsibility to house the government offices on behalf of all of the people of this province. And we took a decision to use that space in the Johnston building to achieve that purpose.
The honourable member for Halifax Citadel.
I thank the Minister for his very detailed response to that question. In our conversations, he had suggested that he was open to the idea of making that space at least look more and fit more with the needs of the street and the Downtown Halifax Business Commission. And I think, you know, the government, notwithstanding the fact that it owns the building, has a duty to behave like a good citizen and respect the wider wishes of the community. But I will move on because I have very little time, and I have two questions. I have a question about well, maybe I'll just ask one, since the member for Pictou East has been waiting patiently for his turn. I have a question for the Minister in his capacity as the Minister responsible for Gaelic Affairs. I received a letter from the Highland Games Committee saying that you know, the government was at the Tartan Day event, and they were very happy to be there and has supported it publicly. But the Highland Games had been asking for some kind of support from the Minister's department and the Office of Gaelic Affairs and from the Tourism, Culture and Heritage, and nothing has been forthcoming, and they're only several weeks away now from the Highland Games, and I'm wondering how we can bridge that gap between the rhetoric of you know, government support for our Gaelic heritage, but the reality of not really any funding for this really important cultural event.
The Honourable the Minister of Transportation and Public Works.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. The Office of Gaelic Affairs, the fundamental objective is to assist in the development and the use of the Gaelic language and the culture that's built around the language and the use of the language itself. And we have a very limited budget in terms of being able to achieve that objective. We do try to support initiatives where people are trying to get involved in by total immersion programs in the use of the Gaelic language. We are supporting groups that are trying to work with the Department of Education to develop Gaelic curriculum and have it implemented within the schools so that our youth can start using the language. We have provided support, some of it simply moral support, to groups that have worked outside the school to bring children together with respect to the use of the language itself. Now, we have a Highland Games in Antigonish. It is the longest continuous running Highland Games in North America, and it addresses a wider aspect of the Scottish culture, and in terms of the games and the dance and the music that is associated with it. It has done little over the years. There is a bit more awareness now, but it has done little over the years to actually promote the use of the language itself. And so our mission is much more focused on initiatives that will promote the use and the revival of the language within the province of Nova Scotia. Now, there are about 250,000 Nova Scotians who are descendant from Highland Scots in this province. And we've identified, not us, but the Gaelic Council of Nova Scotia has identified that there are about 10% of that number who have a desire to learn more or to learn the language or to gain some exposure to the language. And that is really our focal group, is to try to provide those individuals with as much opportunity to revive the use of the language as possible, give them opportunities to be exposed to it. There is a tremendous network out there sponsored by the Gaelic Council of Nova Scotia and by others in terms of the use of the language. There is some of it taking place here in Metro. In Pictou County, there is some activity taking place, people involved in total immersion programs. Similarly, in Antigonish County, Victoria County, as well as Inverness County, and in Cape Breton also, and in parts of Richmond County, there would be a real interest in reviving the language. And I shouldn't leave out Guysborough County, which has a strong traditional element of the use of the language there. I can recall, Mr. Chair, in my youth and growing up when the seniors of the community were individuals who were operating and speaking to you in English as their second language. So in a very short period of time, we have lost that link, and our responsibility is to try and restore that.
Honourable member for Halifax Citadel.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I want to thank the Minister for his response to that question. It was really little more than a request that he use his good offices to impose on his or impress on his cabinet colleagues that this is a worthwhile cultural event, and it's an important event in Halifax, and it's an important event for the Scottish community here, and I would encourage him to rethink his position if it indeed does need rethinking. But I'll pass my time on to the member from Pictou East. Thank you.
Honourable member for Pictou East.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I certainly appreciated the Gaelic response there. I'm just glad that the minister didn't repeat it in Gaelic, because my time would have in fact been gone. However, I'm going to have to be fairly quick here. I would like to thank the minister for some of the work that has been done in the last year, particularly the biggest project in my riding, which was the Woodburn Road. And I also appreciate the work that is done under RIM as well. I think the RIM program is a program that is one that doesn't have a lot of partisanship in it, and it does a lot of good in all rural ridings. My concern, Mr. Chair, is that we are looking at capital construction somewhere in the order of $145 million, and the Nova Scotia Road Builders Association has been insisting that we need something in the order of $400 million annually. It's my understanding that we would have somewhere in an average year 400 to maybe 550 kilometers of new paving. Is that a fair statement? What I'm trying to get at is when you take the urban ridings out of Nova Scotia and you look at the rural ridings like Pictou East, one that has more roads than most, I'm just wondering how much work actually will be done in that riding. Can we count on a certain amount of work to be done? Now, I would like to present to the minister a copy of the priorities already sent to the department. And with the limited amount of time that I have, I can't get into these, but these are in very tender-oriented pieces. And there are actually 20 on the list of priorities for Pictou East. And this represents about, well, actually it's in excess of 100 kilometers. Now, having said that, a lot of these tender-sized pieces are, in fact, along the same road. And I think people would be very pleased if at least a portion were done in each of the next 3 or 4 or 5 years. So I'm not asking that all of this be done, but can we count on 25 or 30 kilometers in Pictou East? And I will pass this along to the minister. There are 20 identified pieces, tender-sized pieces, that I would certainly appreciate some real attention to, some of them at least.
The Honourable the Minister of Transportation and Public Works.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and I'm familiar. I've seen the list previously, and I can say to the honourable member, if you were speaking in terms of 30 kilometres of pavement, you're talking approximately $7.5 million, and there isn't any riding in Nova Scotia that would be getting $7.5 million on county roads in terms of paving. We don't have the resources to be able to do that. But I can tell the honourable member that we do look at every part of the province, and we attempt to apportion funds appropriately in those areas. And one of the things that the honourable member would be aware that's taking place in his riding is the twinning of the 104, and that does provide an improved transportation link for the people living within that riding who traverse to New Glasgow on a regular basis, and that is in the vicinity of $5 million worth of work that would take place just there alone. So you can see that the money gets eaten up pretty rapidly when it comes to doing projects.
Honourable Member for Pictou East.
Mr. Chair, I do want to thank the minister for including the twinning from the Thorburn exit to Sutherland's River in the current budget. Certainly that is appreciated. Most of the calls that I get in a rural riding are related to roads that are in bad shape throughout the rural area. I don't get too many calls in relationship to the Trans-Canada. Of course, the Trans-Canada is extremely important, and that twinning is very important. In relationship to RIM, the Rural Impact Mitigation Program, I am wondering how much we can count on in Pictou East. I think it's a standard amount, is it not, for each rural riding? And I have a list that includes 15 asphalt projects, 7 shoulder gravel, 9 graveling, 15 ditching, 7 bush cutting, and 5 guardrails. And that comes to something in the order of $600,000. Is that a reasonable expectation for Pictou East?
The Honourable the Minister of Transportation and Public Works.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. And the distribution of the RIM money is based on a formula that takes into account the number of kilometers of road that are in a riding where the money would be, the RIM money would be spent. And a small bit of that calculation includes traffic volumes, but it's much more heavily weighted in favor of the kilometers. The honourable member has a riding where there are a lot of kilometres of rural roads, so you know, that will be reflected in the amount of money that is distributed. But I want to caution the honourable member that we do not distribute it by riding, we distribute it by jurisdiction, so that the Troy Webb in your area would distribute the money throughout his area of responsibility. And what I encourage all honourable members to do, and it's a practice that I have used since I've been elected in 1999 and the RIM money has come into use, is that I always meet with the area manager and have a discussion with them. And I usually find that my list of priorities with respect to RIM money mirror almost about 90 or 95% what the department staff are thinking about in terms of what has to be done. So it's been an extremely positive relationship for me in that regard, and I'm sure if the honourable member has lists, that he should be sharing those lists with the area manager, and I'm sure that he would find that there would be a pretty strong overlap between what he sees as priorities and what the local departmental officials feel are priorities.
Honourable member for Pictou East.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I'm glad the minister mentioned Troy Webb, the area manager. I would like to say that I could not have a better person to work with in that department than that particular area manager. He is outstanding in his job. He gets back to me on sometimes a daily basis, and I think we should acknowledge the good work that people are doing in that department, particularly Troy Webb. Now, I don't have much time, so I'm going to be very quick here. In relationship to bridges, we have three fundamental needs in Pictou East. One is the Thorburn Bridge, which is in very horrible shape. School buses cannot go over it. The pillars underneath are splintered. It's a huge bridge. I could go into quite a bit of detail in relationship to that. However, I want to talk about the Black Brook Bridge, which is close to the Pictou-Guysborough County line, which the minister would be very familiar with his roots in northern Nova Scotia. That is another situation where I'm getting calls from school bus drivers, from local people, and that involves a rerouting of that chunk of highway. And also the Gut Bridge at Pictou Landing, the replacement there is a single lane, and that's important as well. But these other two, the Thorburn Bridge is the fire chief was under there recently, and just with a jackknife, he was picking at some of the pillars there. And this bridge is very high, although it doesn't look like it from the road. Trains used to go under it, coal trains and so on. And it's very, very important. School buses are having to go around it. And the Black Brook Bridge, a similar situation where school bus people are very, very concerned about that. So the time that I have, I wish I had about 3 times as much, but if we can get many of these RIM projects looked after, and certainly a chunk of the ones that have been outlined in priority form, we have some areas where tourism is becoming increasingly important up in the East River Valley. We have 4 kiosks being built there, and people cannot pound their vehicles to look at some of our great attractions in Pictou East.
Order, please. Order, please. The time has expired for the honourable member. We'll now call on the honourable member for Clare.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, last time, or actually yesterday when I left off, we were talking about bridge. So I want to continue where we left off yesterday. I want to turn over to the estimates, the supplementary detail. My first question to the minister is looking at the budget. The department is planning to spend $12.3 million on bridge maintenance this year. And my question to the minister, would it be possible to get a list of those bridges that will receive some repairs this year? And my other question is, would be interested in finding out how much is the department planning to spend on new bridge construction this year, and again, would it be possible to get a list of those new capital projects? So the bridges that will be receiving some repairs this year, along with new bridges that the department is looking at constructing.
Honorable the Minister of Transportation and Public Works.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. We will be spending $20 million for new and replacement bridges in the system throughout the province, plus the money that will find its way to 100 series highways as a result of new construction and the need for new structures on those highways. And we're adding $3.5 million to bridges in other parts of the province of $12.3 million. The challenge we would have in providing the list the honourable member refers to is that the amount of work that might be done on a bridge could vary all the way from the replacement of a striped sign at the end of the bridge that is there for people to know that a bridge is there and they're approaching the bridge, that all the way from the replacement of a sign like that to the complete replanking of the bridge or the structure work underneath. And to undertake to compile a list of that nature would be quite a challenge. Perhaps the honourable member, if he has an interest in specific bridges, if he could provide us with that list, we would be quite happy to try and see which of those bridges might be addressed in the coming year.
Honourable Member for Clare.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Maybe again to the minister, if the minister could undertake to provide us with a list of the new bridges that will be constructed in this upcoming construction season, as well as the bridges that will be replaced. So technically, I understand where the minister is going with this, with the general maintenance on bridges. I guess what I was looking for is the bigger projects that the department is looking at addressing in this coming construction season. So at the same time, before the minister responds to that one, every year, Mr. Chair, it seems there's always something that comes up as an emergency. A bridge collapse, there's a bridge could burn, whatever, something of an emergency. And I'm just curious, I suspect when an emergency does come up, the department needs to respond quickly to these emergencies. I suspect that the department has some money set aside for emergency purposes. So I'm just curious if when the minister responds about the the bridge replacement this year, the projects that the department will undertake, if the minister could indicate how much money is available in the emergency fund to address these concerns that do come up in the run of the year.
The Honourable Minister of Transportation and Public Works.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. And we have 3 bridges in Truro that are on standby that we can move to any given location in the province if they are needed in the case of an emergency. Other emergencies that may present themselves are dealt with by really a rearrangement of the capital program in order to accommodate those situations as they would arise, and that seems to work in terms of being able to address the situation. I can tell the honourable member I'll do my utmost to make sure that any rearrangement doesn't negatively impact him, but that's I know that would be a concern. However, we do from time to time get into situations where the best laid plans of mice and men go astray, and you do have to respond to emergencies as they arise. Later in the year, when the program is complete, I would be pleased to provide the honourable member with a list of bridges that are being new bridges that are being erected throughout the province.
Honourable Member for Clare.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and that's acceptable, Mr. Minister. Before I move on to another topic, I want to talk about the Minister received a letter from the Mosher River Board of Trade, this probably in the last week or so. I'm just curious, from the Vice President of the Board of Trade, Mr. Alan Lowe, he indicated that the local bridge needs repairs. He was told by the local department superintendent that there's no money in this year's budget. He's asking the minister or the department to close the sidewalk on that bridge. He's also requesting that the weight be restricted on that bridge. So my question to the minister is, has the department responded to Mr. Lowe's requests? And if not, how does the department respond to this type of request? And I'm sure there's many requests that come through the department in any given year.
The Honourable Minister of Transportation and Public Works.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and I thank the honourable member for the inquiry on the Mosers River Bridge. That is a bridge, Mr. Chairman, that has in fact been investigated by the department. The structure itself is sound and is quite safe. The superstructure of the bridge, or the top of the bridge, does need some work, and an evaluation of the work that is needed is underway, and there will be a plan put in place to address that.
The Honourable Member for Clare.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, I want to, since we're talking about some specifics, I want to raise another concern that was in the media yesterday, the Cancel Causeway. Mr. Chair, yesterday Mayor Billy Joe McLean was calling for a toll of another sort to help cover the cost to maintain the causeway. As he indicated, of course, this funding, this budget would be used to maintain and maybe carry out some additional work to the causeway. He indicated maybe to install warning lights, possibly create an enclosure over the highway. my first question to the minister is the government providing funds needed to maintain the causeway? And my second question, does the minister agree with the mayor that there should be some type of a special fund set up to help maintain the causeway and for improvements?
The Honourable, the Minister of Transportation and Public Works.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And I can say to the honourable member that we do have plans for improvements in the causeway this year. We're going to renew the lighting all the way across the causeway. We're also doing an evaluation of, I see the honourable member for Inverness shaking his head in agreement. I can say that I received some very strong representation from him with respect to that issue, and very pleased to be able to respond to him. He does have another capacity here, which is not without note, and but at any rate, that is taking place. We are also doing an assessment of the needs with respect to guardrails on the causeway. And we do continuously look at the needs of the causeway. I can tell you that part of the causeway is a very interesting part of our highway system, in as much as the surface of the causeway itself is something over which the province has responsibility. But I understand that the structure below the water line is the responsibility of the Government of Canada. And so when you look at the long-term integrity of the causeway, it is something that will have to be addressed by both levels of government. The work that we will be doing on the causeway will not require us to charge a toll in order to have that work done. The maintenance of the causeway is something that comes out of our highways budget, and we're very mindful of the requirements that are needed at the causeway. And I can say that we have, for safety reasons, have implemented a new weigh scale system at the causeway that allows vehicles to be weighed before they reach the actual weigh station. And as a result of the sensors that are now built into the road, the system will automatically tell a driver if they're close enough to the limits that, or deemed to be over the limits, that they should call into the scale. So that's in moving easterly, that system is in effect, and that has cut down the need for these trucks to cut across the traffic by a considerable amount, and that has added to the safety of the causeway. So we are very mindful. We're continuously making improvements to the causeway. It is a structure that's just recently celebrated its 50th anniversary, and the needs for us to be spending money there as a result of the age factor will be greater as we move forward than perhaps it has been in the past, but we're very mindful of that responsibility.
The Honourable Member for Clare.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have one final question for the Minister on the causeway. Could the Minister inform the committee how much funding the department spends on maintaining the causeway annually?
The Honourable the Minister of Transportation and Public Works.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. The causeway is not a separate budget item. It's part of the highway system, and so as we spend money on it, it is not. There's not a separate causeway budget, so to speak, and so to provide that sort of detail is probably not something we could do. Might be able to provide an approximate number, but not the detailed number.
The Honourable Member for Clare.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just thought that maybe the department had a given budget item or money set aside within the department to maintain the Kansas Causeway. I want to move on, again, on page 20.6 of the department's supplementary details of the estimates. I want to talk about the snow and ice control. As everyone is aware, we had a very mild winter in Nova Scotia this year. I think the southwestern part of the province probably had more snow than any other part of this province, and that's very unusual. I hope that that trend does not continue in next winter. I see that the department had budgeted almost $44 million for snow and ice control. Does the minister have some idea in terms of how much of that budget item will be left over from this winter?
The Honourable, the Minister of Transportation and Public Works.
Mr. Chairman, if you look at the 20.6 of the book, you'll see that the estimate for 0607 was 43.9 million. We actually spent 36.9, and some of and that's the difference there is about $6.9 million. But what we were able to do, because of the mild weather, we were able to use some of that money and do summer-type maintenance, and so it got recycled out of snow and ice control to maintenance work, and so 4.7 of the 6.9 got used in that capacity.
The Honourable Member for Clare.
So, Mr. Chair, to the Minister, looking at last year's budget, 06-07, or the previous year, I'm just curious for this winter that's just about done, hopefully the snow is done as well. I'm just curious, again, is the department looking at recycling whatever's left over out of the snow and ice budget for this season, to leave that funding with the local field offices for general maintenance for this coming summer or spring?
The Honourable, the Minister of Transportation and Public Works.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. We're now 11 days into the new fiscal year, and the money that would have not been spent at the end of March is money that remains unspent. It goes to either the accumulated sort of surplus for the year of the department. And from there to the Minister of Finance. So once the year is over, then the year is over with respect to that money. We're not able to carry it forward.
The Honourable Member for Clare.
So Mr. Minister, if I understand this, whatever surplus is left is recalled by Halifax, so the field offices have to forward whatever credit. I don't anticipate they have the actual dollars in the different field offices. So whatever's left in their ice and snow budget is being recalled by Halifax, by your department. That goes back to the Department of Finance. Is that correct?
The Honourable, the Minister of Transportation and Public Works.
Yes, our department isn't any different than any other department of government. Any money that is unspent at the end of March is money that goes to the Department of Finance, and gets reflected in the final surplus figures that are published, I think, in September for the final reconciliation of the fiscal year. Is that the correct term? Yeah, September. So that's where that money, ours is no different than any other department of government.
The Honourable Member for Clare.
Again, continuing on the snow and ice control budget, I'm looking at the estimate manual, and it says provides further removal of snow and ice built up on paved highways and gravel roads. So I want to turn my attention to gravel roads. I want to specifically go to the department's policy for snow and ice control for gravel roads. Now, Mr. Chair, through you and to the Minister, just a couple months ago, back in February of this year, on a Friday afternoon, of course, I received a number of telephone calls from residents in the Maxwelton-Hectanooga area. These individuals, these residents, live on a gravel road. Their road was very slippery and covered with snow on this particular day. A few vehicles had gone off the road in the ditch. I understand 1 or 2 in the morning and then a few more in the afternoon. Some residents called me up to let me know that they had called the local transportation field office in Clare, in Sonyville, matter of fact, requesting sand for their road to help with tracking, which to me was very reasonable, made sense. But as the conversation continued, I was told that it was not possible. They were told by the employees at the local office that they could not go out and put some sand on their gravel road. I can understand why they were upset when they called me. When I looked at the policy and trying to explain to them, what the department's policy is, I want to focus a little bit on the policy, Mr. Chair. It talks about level 4 snowpacked. The use says gravel roads shall only have sand or other approved abrasives applied. The use of salt or other sizers on gravel road is strictly prohibited. The use of sand or other approved abrasive is to be limited in terms of both quantity and frequency, and normally applied only to hills, turns, intersections, and railway crossings after a storm has ended. Level areas will not normally be sanded unless severe slippery condition exists. Now, I understand some transportation staff from the Sonyville office that day did carry out a road inspection earlier in the day. I don't know if staff, the department staff, continued to monitor the road condition throughout the day. But I do know that with the mild winter we had, these residents only called me one day throughout the whole winter. So they certainly weren't abusing the system. For them, basically with the road conditions on that given day, and for taking the time, at least I've heard from 4 of those individuals throughout the 1 in the morning and 3 in the afternoon, to express their frustrations towards the government, towards your department, Mr. Minister, about your department's policy about the application of sand on gravel roads or snow and ice control for gravel roads. I can tell you they were not impressed whatsoever. With children traveling on those roads and with, families and so forth. My question to the Minister is, I told these individuals that I would bring their concern to your attention, Minister, and I would ask that you bring this policy back to your department, and it certainly needs to be reviewed. As far as I'm concerned, this policy, maybe it makes a little bit of sense about applying sand to hills and turns and intersections and railway crossings after a storm, but level areas will not normally be sanded. Try to explain it to people that are frustrated that had some accidents throughout the day, that the department cannot put down sand on your gravel road to help you with tracking. They could not understand that. Luckily, Mr. Chairman, there was nobody was injured in these several vehicles that went off the road that day. But who knows? Who knows what next winter, what winter will bring next year. So again, my question to the minister is, will the minister undertake to look at this policy? Because I think it's absolutely critical that the government reviews this policy in order to simply prevent some accidents from happening and possibly someone getting hurt. So I'll take my seat and listen to the minister.
The Honourable, the Minister of Transportation and Public Works.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And what I'll do is perhaps share my interpretation of the policy with the honourable member and see where we are with respect to that. The first part of what he read with respect to curves, hills, railroad crossings is in the period after a storm, that it is applied in those circumstances. But the policy, as I heard him read it, goes on to say that when ice is present, then there is a much more liberal application of sand throughout the entire road because of the circumstances that apply there. What wasn't read by the honourable member, but what is in fact practice, is that the sand does not get applied when it is raining heavily, because the sand simply gets washed off and it doesn't stay on the surface. Now, I don't know what the weather conditions were on the day in question, whether it was raining that day and department officials decided not to apply the sand until the rain had ceased. I don't know, but certainly we will make some inquiries as to whether or not we have any difficulty in understanding our own policy. But I think my interpretation of the policy is one which appears to be reasonably prudent, in that if there is ice everywhere, and I see it in my own area, that there is a rather liberal application of sand in those circumstances, because obviously without the sand you don't have the traction, you don't have the ability to steer and control the vehicle in the manner in which would be safe for those people using the road. Now, my interpretation may be different than the honourable members, and I'm quite prepared to listen to what he has to say.
Honourable Member for Clare.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, I want to let the minister know on that given day, the gravel road was covered with snow, but there was ice underneath, and the road was extremely slippery. I actually asked one individual that went off the road at the intersection, at one of the intersection in his community, if there was sand in the intersection, and I was told there was none that was laid out in the intersection. So again, to the minister, the road is a gravel road. There was ice underneath the snow. It was relatively warm that day, but the road was extremely slippery. What these residents failed to understand is that staff from the Department of Transportation would not come out and put some sand to help them with tracking. So I did contact the operational supervisor in Sonyville. I did speak with the area manager late Friday afternoon in Yarmouth, again, bringing it to their attention. The only thing that I got back is, like I indicated earlier, Mr. Chair, 4 individuals called me complaining about how treacherous their road was, and that the department should be putting some sand to help with tracking, and they had notified the local office to no avail. No sand was laid down. So to me, when I look at this this policy, either someone does not understand the policy, level areas will not normally be sanded unless severe slippery condition exists. Well, on that given day, there were lots of slippery condition that existed along that road. So I would ask the minister, maybe as he indicated, to do a follow-up, because I think it's absolutely critical. This situation does not repeat itself next winter. And I'll leave it to that. Mr. Chair, I want to move on to Highway 101. Yesterday, the minister, during his opening comments and following our debate going back and forth, the minister indicated several new road construction priorities that the government is looking at, and hopefully convincing the federal government to help out with the funding on these projects. The minister mentioned the Antigonish twinning project and a couple others. There's definitely one more that should be included on your list, and I know my honourable colleague from Digby Annapolis earlier talked about the section on Highway 101. Matter of fact, it's the only section on Highway 101 between Bedford and Yarmouth that's not completed. This section has and there's been lots of debate in this House, and for many years, as the honourable member earlier indicated, this debate has been ongoing for about 35 years. So I'm sure the minister and the department are very much aware of the section on Highway 101 between Digby and Weymouth that has never been completed. Of course, safety continues to be a big concern, Mr. Chair, along this stretch of road. That's about 26 kilometres. There's been lots of debate, as I indicated, over this missing section, the only missing section on Highway 101. I know the question has been asked time and time again to my colleague, to former colleagues, past MLAs from Digby Annapolis. I've been asked since I've been elected, and the question always comes back, Mr. Chair, when will this section of Highway 101 between Weymouth and Digby, when will it be built? That question has been kicked around, and of course, there's still no date set, no signs. Again, we can understand why the people from along that stretch of road would be very frustrated. But I hope our government will take this matter under consideration and decide to include it in our next highway agreement with the federal government, if that's possible. So people living along the stretch of road between Digby and Weymouth will know once and for all when to expect to see construction begin on this uncompleted section of Highway 101. So, Mr. Chair, it has certainly been way too long. I don't know if the minister knows or would like to respond. I'm sure he as well has been hearing from many frustrated individuals, municipal councils, school boards, private residents. So, Mr. Chair, I would hope that the minister will seriously give this project some consideration, and as I've indicated, hope. Because the minister indicated yesterday the government has a number of priorities they're looking at, hoping to enter into agreements with the federal government for funding in order to go ahead and construct these projects. So again, I hope that the minister will give it some thought, and again, if at all possible, to remember, you know, these people from Digby County have been waiting a long time, and they would like someone someday to be able to tell them when they can expect that section of road on Road 101 completed. Now, speaking of Highway 101, I know that the department has been working at twinning Highway 101 for at least the last 10 years maybe. But there's another concern that should be addressed and needs to be raised again. I know it's been raised before in this House, but there is definitely a need for passing lanes between Colebrook and Bridgetown, Mr. Chairman. So I would like to ask the Minister if the department has any discussions or any plans over constructing some passing lanes along Highway 101 between Colebrook and Bridgetown. And if so, what has the department decided to do, especially what concerns this section of Highway 101 between Colebrook and Bridgetown?
The Honourable, the Minister of Transportation and Public Works.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I can tell the honourable member that with respect to the issue of passing lanes, some preliminary work has been done from Berwick to Kingston with respect to the eventual building of passing lanes on that section. I certainly appreciate what the honourable member is saying. It is a long, while it is a flat section, we usually associate passing lanes with hills, but this is a section of road where the occasional third lane would certainly improve the flow of traffic and ease the situation, but there has been some preliminary work done. With respect to the section at 101, I very much appreciate what the honourable member is saying, both the honourable member for Clare and the honourable member for Digby-Annapolis, with respect to that section of road. It is, I guess it's 101, but it's not a controlled access road, similar to the 104 where I live, from Addington Forks through to the almost Pumpkin River Road. It is, well, even beyond Heathern, through to Heathern, it is not a controlled access road. And that does present its challenges. That's a piece of road that has numerous speed zones, as low as 60 kilometers an hour in a section of that road. Very heavy traffic. I recall going home one weekend in October on a Friday evening, and about 12 kilometers outside of Antigonish, I started to wonder what was happening, that there must have been an accident or something in the road ahead of me, because the traffic was slowing up. When I see the honourable member for Kilbrittain Centre looking at me, I know he's traversed that road many times. And the traffic was slowing up, and then it would seem to speed up, and then it slowed up, and as I got closer to Antigonish, then it actually almost came to a virtual stop, and then it would move again. And this was for a section of 12 kilometers, and it suddenly dawned on me after about 5 kilometers that it was the traffic lights at Antigonish that were causing the traffic. Then it was backed up that far that it was just stop and go all the way. So I'm very familiar with the challenges of non-controlled access highways, and through that particular section, I don't know if I've lost track of the number of traffic lights that there are, but I believe there are 1, 2, 3, if not 3 traffic lights going through that particular section of road, and it is very heavily traversed. So, I understand when I hear an honourable member say that people have been waiting to hear, the answer to the question when. And I'm very sympathetic to that.
The honourable member for Clare.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to, looking at Highway 101, I want to talk about the carpool parking lot. Mr. Chair, back in 2005, I forwarded a request to the department for 2 carpool parking lots, one at exit 28, that's at the St. Bernard area, and one at exit 31, which is in the Meteghan-St. Martin area, which are located at both extremes of the municipality of Clare. Mr. Chair, last summer, the department responded favorably to expand the current carpool parking lot at exit 31, that's at the Meteghan and St. Martin exit. And motorists were very pleased. We have quite a few people from the Meteghan area that works in Yarmouth, and they carpool. And of course, on any given day, this carpool parking lot is pretty well full. Unfortunately, this winter, during one of our snowstorms, motorists could not park in the carpool parking lot. They had to find somewhere else to park. So my question to the minister is, why can't these carpool parking lots be plowed at the same time that the snowplow goes by? I understand the department's policy is to plow these lots only when all the roads have been cleared. And maybe the minister can indicate if that's correct, if that's the policy. So again, I'm curious why, because I've been asked by some of these individuals that do use this carpool parking lot, why can't this parking lot be plowed at the same time that the snow plow goes by?
The Honourable the Minister of Transportation and Public Works.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and the honourable member has correctly enunciated the policy that we do plow the roads first before any work is done in the parking lots, and that is if the roads are not open, then you can't really use the parking lots. The time that you would spend plowing the parking lot is time not spent opening roads, and the priority is given to the opening of the roads.
The Honourable Member for Clare.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Coming back to my initial request for a carpool parking lot at exit 28 near the exit in St. Bernard, for especially people of Clare that are working in Digby, in Cornwallis. Could the minister inform me when the department is planning to proceed in constructing a parking lot at exit 28?
The Honourable the Minister of Transportation and Public Works.
At this time, Mr. Chair, there aren't any specific plans with respect to doing anything there. That's not to say that we wouldn't respond to a local initiative that might come forward in that regard. I think that has spurred a lot of building of these parking lots in the past. That we've worked in conjunction with local initiatives to do that.
The Honourable Member for Clare.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I recall the former Minister of Transportation and Public Works telling me that the department is currently working on developing a policy that will deal with the design and maintenance service of carpool parking lots. So my question to the minister is, could the minister inform me when this policy will be available?
The Honourable the Minister of Transportation and Public Works.
I can't give the honourable member a specific date. I can tell the honourable member that would be very pleased to share that information with him when it is complete, but it is under active preparation.
Honourable Member for Clare.
Thank you. I want to move on to something that was delivered in the budget speech. And on page 15, Mr. Chair, the government announced that they will be making all provincially owned buildings in Nova Scotia barrier-free for public access by the year 2020. Now, Mr. Chairman, I know that my colleague from Annapolis has tabled a bill before this House to promote this initiative, and I want to congratulate the Minister and his government for moving on to this initiative. I know, speaking with representatives from Leo, from League of Equal Opportunities, they were very touched by this government initiative. My question to the Minister is, does the Minister know how many provincially owned buildings we have in Nova Scotia? My second question, does the Minister know how many of these provincially owned buildings are already barrier-free for public access?
The Honourable, the Minister of Transportation and Public Works.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I will try to find the exact number of, yeah, here we are. We operate 30 buildings, and yeah, we operate 30 buildings throughout the province. 30, yeah. That is directly. Now we have leases on many other buildings. Yeah. But altogether, there are 1,000 buildings that we own in the province. Now, some of those are museums. I suppose a plowshed would come under that category as being a building that's owned by the department. So there are, you know, quite a variety of buildings that are owned. I can provide the honourable member with perhaps an update on some current activity that we're doing with respect to accessibility, if it is of interest to him. We have 11 audits to carry out over the next fiscal year with respect to accessibility, where we're going to look at buildings. At least this would be in the sort of the 30 buildings where we own them and we're providing direct access to individuals. We have the following projects which will carry over. The renovations to Digby Courthouse, renovations the Amherst Visitors Information Center, Colchester Museum, ramp, the renovations the Antigonish Justice Center, the Middleton TPW area office, power assisted doors to RMV area, the Pictou Courthouse renovations as part of the TCA budget, and hope to be able to launch 3 or 4 new smaller projects and 5 to 6 new audits over the fiscal year of 07-08. Those projects have not yet been selected, but we do hope to get them done this year. So that's some of the activity. We have $300,000 available in 06-07 that we use to support progress of implementing barrier-free access to government real property throughout the province. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Honourable Member for Clare.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I guess coming back to the target that the provincial government has laid out, I'm just wondering, in order for government to reach their target by 2020 to make all provincially owned buildings in Nova Scotia barrier-free, does the Minister know how the government proposes to reach that target? Are they looking at setting yearly targets? Will they be reporting yearly in the House? I'm just curious if the Minister could share his, if he has any information with the committee.
The Honourable the Minister of Transportation and Public Works.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. The audits to which I referred in the previous answer are a very important part of the tool that we will employ in order to assist us in setting forth a schedule and achieving that objective.
The Honourable Member for Clare.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think I have approximately 10 minutes, maybe?
Just under 10 minutes.
Just under 10 minutes. I will share whatever's left with my colleague from Digby Annapolis, and I'll return to the estimates again tomorrow.
Honourable Member for Digby Annapolis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Mr. Minister. Our time's getting short here tonight, and I know I'll be happy, and I know you will too, to get this questioning done. Maybe as Public Works Minister, you could look at putting some bunks in this house. We just stay all night and lay in the bunk and ask questions. Maybe we get it done quicker, but
Like a camp.
it's a good idea. Long days at this, so I know it's like fishing. You put in 16, 18-hour days. You don't want to drive away from your boat too far, so you just roll in a bunk when you're done and roll out in the morning 6 o'clock and continue on. Maybe that's what we could do here. I've heard there's new rules that may be coming into the department concerning highway workers, and also concerning vehicles that will be used along the highway that may need their bumpers upgraded to bumpers similar to what's being put on guardrails right now. That they're flexible when they're hit, and I know they're on the ends of guardrails, and I've been told that they may have to be put onto the vehicles, and with a cost of $25,000 possibly per bumper, and better signage around workers. That's certainly going to take a lot of time to set this signage up. Is any of this true, or am I just being told a fib of some sort?
The Honourable the Minister of Transportation and Public Works.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. And I can tell the honourable member that there is a new construction safety manual which will be employed by the department, and it has come into effect on April 1.
The Honourable Member for Digby Annapolis.
So this new manual, that's something that the department has put together for its workers and for in these new bumpers, is that also something that the department is doing?
The Honourable the Minister of Transportation and Public Works.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It is an update of a manual that was first published in 1995. It's been updated this year, and it's to govern the safety practices when work is being conducted on roads in the province, whether it is through departmental personnel or through contractors that are employed to do work on our roads.
Honourable Member for Digby Annapolis.
So you've still never answered my question about these flexible bumpers that needs to be put on the vehicles. Is this true?
The Honourable the Minister of Transportation and Public Works.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Yes, we have been putting those on vehicles in the metro area for a number of years now, and they're employed and they're part of the safety features of work. And I want to point out to the function of the manual is to do two things with respect to work that is taking place on the roads. One is to address the issue of the flow of traffic through a construction site, to ensure that we get that traffic through as expeditiously as possible, and ensure that the wait times are not too long. And whenever you say that, there are a few parts of the province last year where people experienced some challenges around the wait time issue. The second function of the manual is to address the safety of those individuals who are working on the road, as well as the people who are traveling through the road.
The honourable member for Digby Annapolis.
Thank you. Equipment. Equipment to work on the highways with, trucks, graders, snow plows. Who determines when this equipment is worn out, and how long does the department keep these machines around before that determination is done?
The Honourable Minister of Transportation and Public Works.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The determination is made by the Fleet Branch at Miller Lake, and it very much, the length of time very much depends upon the piece of equipment that is in question.
The Honourable Member for Digby Annapolis.
It just seems on the highway you get in some places and there seems to be more new equipment than in others. And, you know, I've heard complaints from my area alone where the equipment's pretty shabby. They spend more time working on some of it than they do working on the road. And I'm just wondering if that's beneficial or not to the department when, I mean, they're painting the complete vehicle. They're stripping it down and repainting it and fixing. They're spending more time on it than they are working on the highways, is what I'm getting at. And I'm just wondering if that's a good economical thing to do in the department, whether it'd be worth continuing to rebuild these machines or have them renewed. And it seems to be worse in some places than in others. Is that true?
Honourable the Minister of Transportation and Public Works.
What I can say about that question is that we have, with respect to the budget for equipment, the type of equipment referenced by the honourable member, have increased that budget over the past 2 years. We're now spending in excess of $8 million a year, whereas 2 years ago we were spending about $2 million less, about $6 million a year. So we have, over the past 2 years, increased that budget, and it's because we recognize the need for that equipment to be replaced more rapidly than was the case in the past.
The Honourable Member for Digby Annapolis.
We know a lot of the problems on our highways are from inattention. And we know that there's rules on the 101 or the 100 series highways that you have to have signage back 500 meters or whatever it is. It's quite a ways back from the highway. We're hearing on the radio, I'm hearing on the radio that there's people around the city promoting more attractions out along the road so people will pay attention more to what's out around them. I don't know if that's right or not, but it doesn't seem to me that more attractions along the streetways would give people more attention to the people that's walking on crosswalks and such not. So I'm just wondering if the department has ever thought about promoting or educating the people of Nova Scotia. There's two things you got to watch for when you're driving a vehicle, and that's the other vehicles and the other people that are on the roads, and not more attractions along our highways. Is there anything to educate the people about this through the department?
The Honourable Minister of Transportation and Public Works.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I can tell the honourable member that we have budgeted over the past 2 years an amount of $350,000 toward driver awareness, and not just driver awareness, but awareness on the part of all people around the use of highways and crosswalks and that, and we're going to continue to spend that money this year. It's all around the issue of road safety. I can tell the honourable member that in roads where we have controlled access, of course, the type of activities that he's referencing is not permitted in those situations. But I'm not certain that I'm fully with him in terms of the activities that he's talking about that I think he feels are distractions. But we're certainly not promoting them.
Order, please. The time has expired. I'll now recognize from the NDP caucus the honourable member for Pictou West.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I welcome the opportunity of just a few quick minutes here, I guess, before our debate winds up for the day. But I've had the opportunity before to ask a few questions on roads and bridges and so on. And in the remaining few minutes, I just want to ask about the public tendering process. And as you know, Mr. Chair, the Department of Transportation and Public Works is responsible for tendering a number of very multi-million-dollar projects in this province around roads and bridges, and on behalf of other departments as well. And I'd just like to get an overview from the Minister on the process of public tendering, and I guess in particular I'm asking about a situation. Normally the low tender is awarded a contract, but I understand that's not always the case. And I was contacted by a constituent with a concern over a tender that was let in January of this year over retreading tires for Transportation and Public Works, and they were the company with the lowest tender, and another company was not far behind them. A third company had no tender at all, but for some reason the tender was not accepted, even though they had done the work for a number of years, and it was thrown out for retendering. I wonder if the Minister can explain why in a situation like that on tire retreading that it was not accepted and it was reoffered or retendered.
The Honourable, the Minister of Transportation and Public Works.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I can provide the honourable member with perhaps a high-level explanation. There were safety issues around the retreads that were being used, and those were brought to light after the tender had been issued. And in the interest of safety, guidelines were put in place, and as a result, the decision was taken to do a retendering. In the retendering, the safety elements were incorporated into the tendering document, so that those specifications would have to be met.
The honourable member for Pictou West.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Can you tell us then whether it has at this point been retendered? This was in January, and we're into April now. And secondly, how would you handle something like, when it's known publicly what the amounts of the tenders are from the previous two bidders? How is it fair to all parties that when two of those tenders are now out in the public light?
The Honourable, the Minister of Transportation and Public Works.
Yes, the issue around the safety dealt with the inconsistent quality of the material that was used in the retread. And when that was recognized, the new specs were put in place. And once you put in place new specs, then of course the tendering is toward a different product than that which had been tendered previously. And as a result of that, the old numbers don't apply any longer. It's a new set of numbers, and it's a new set of specifications that have to be met. And it's for safety reasons.
The honourable member for Pictou West.
Thank you. Can the Minister tell us then whether that new tender has been offered yet, or perhaps has it been even settled? I'm not sure, but I'd just like to know where it's at in the process.
The Honourable Minister of Transportation and Public Works.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It is in process and should be out shortly.
The Honourable Member for Pictou West.
Okay, I want to turn to another tender that came to my attention just today. In fact, I think the Minister might have received a copy of this as well, and it's concerning paint relining on our highways, and in this case, the contractor had it for many years, lost out on the tender to a brand new, inexperienced operator, and he has some concerns over you know, whether the job will actually be done and in a timely manner, and whether the process is, you know, will be done at all. But this is a letter from City Pavement Markings of Canada Limited, and they're quite concerned about the tendering process. And I know we don't have a lot of time here tonight, so I'm just going to bring it to the Minister's attention. We're going to continue on tomorrow with some more questions here and estimates, and I'm just serving notice that that's an issue that I want to get some more clarification on. But it was a low tender that was that this time was received, but it was not everybody's happy with it, I guess. So I'll perhaps, if the Minister doesn't mind, I'll ask for an answer tomorrow. And I guess because of the lateness of the hour, I think it might be appropriate perhaps that I'll adjourn debate for tonight, and we'll return to this another day.
Order, please. There's a motion to adjourn debate. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carried. The Honourable Deputy Government House Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I move that the committee do now rise and report progress and beg leave to sit again on a future day.
Order, please. Order, please. The committee reports.
Committee's made progress and begs leave to sit again.
Thank you. The Honourable Deputy Government House Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, that concludes the government's business for today. I move that the House be adjourned to sit again tomorrow, Thursday, beginning at 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. The day will begin with the daily routine, question period, Committee of the Whole House and Supply, continuing with the estimates of the Department of Education or Department of Transportation and Public Works, and if time permits, public bill for third reading.
Thank you. The motion before the House is for the House to rise and meet again tomorrow at the hour of 10 a.m. Is the House ready for the question? The question has been called. All those in favour of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Against? Motion carried. The House stands adjourned until 10 a.m. tomorrow morning.